This is Christina with GlobalGrind, and today we are here with Ferguson activists Ashley Yates and Tory Russell. They have been on the front lines since August 9th, since Mike Brown was shot down by Ferguson officer Darren Wilson, and they're sitting here with me today, and I'm so happy you guys are here because we need to talk about the power of the people. I mean, most of the conversation has been geared towards what we as Black people can do once we're in office, once we're part of the city council, once we're more than 3 Black policemen in Ferguson. But what young people have shown the rest of the world in Ferguson is that we can get down in the streets, in these city council meetings, without holding any office and make some real change. So I know you both are a part of different organizations. So actually, let's start with you. Can you talk a little about what you do and your experience in Ferguson so far?
Sure. My organization is Millennial Activists United, and we were, I think all of us started on the ground in the first couple of days, and then once things kind of started to progress and elevated, the police violence escalated, we realized that there was a real need for change, like deep change, not just get off the street and then leave us alone, but in case something like this were to happen again, what would the reaction be? So people kind of started to form, groups. There were a lot of people on the ground at first. So people started to form their groups, and I got together with some of my friends, some old, some new, and we created the organization to really implement that change because, like you said, we're not council members. We don't want to be council members. We don't want to be politicians. We don't think the change is going to come from inside of the system that's already broken.
Right.
So we're here to apply that outside pressure and show them what it really is about.
I was blessed. So that August 9th, I went out there or whatever, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I came out there. And I was blessed to meet Montega Simmons, which is the chair of the Organization for Black Struggle. They've been in the city for 35 plus years. So the Norman Says, the Ivory Perrys, the Percy Greens in St. Louis, the Jamal Arajas, all belonged at one time to the Organization for Black Struggle. Me and Tef Poe, we were blessed to be brought in on like week 2. And then we, out of that small group of the youth, we started Hands Up United. So we have a lot of people that's around the city, and we're going national with it. We got Phil Agnew from the Dream Defenders. We got Tenji here in New York. And we organized. I think everybody who came in that we saw a connection with on the ground, who had positive feedback and strategies, I think that the Hands Up United banner is going to be key going forward.
Right. And I think there's this misconception that us as young Black people don't have a voice. It's not the same struggle. It's not the same civil rights movement that it was in the 60s. I think what people don't realize is that you guys are Black leaders.
I think people are definitely realizing it now. The way that you can go out on the street now and get a reaction from people, and all of the older people, like the ones that Tory and Tef work with intimately, I don't see them as much because we're young folks working it out for ourselves, right? But when I go out, they will snatch you aside and say, "We are so proud of you. We are so proud of you. Wherever you lead, we're willing to follow." So they are really allowing the youth, the under 30 crowd in this movement to take the lead because they know our reaction was what sparked it and that we've sustained it this far. So they're ready to let us lead. So I think people definitely do recognize it, especially in Ferguson, and also I think just nationwide. I've gone to Dayton, Ohio to build with the folks up there and, talk to some of their advisors, and they were like, we let the youth lead the movement. Right. And if you guys want to follow from Ferguson, or want to lead from Ferguson, we're following you too.
Right.
When I was just arrested on October 2nd, the clergy actually came and they asked us what our strategy was before they bailed us out. They were like, let's just make sure, was this intentional? Because we don't want to mess up whatever you guys have here, because thus far you've been the leader. So let us know what it is you need from us.
And let's talk about sustainability a bit, because I think what most people expected was that we would get outraged, we would go to Ferguson, we would protest, and then we would go back to our homes and forget about it, and this would happen again. But that's not what happened. People got together and you formed these groups. What is it difficult? What are the difficulties in organizing?
Everybody's out there either for Mike Brown immediately or that the system is failing them, So it's older people, Anthony Shaheed, Zaki Baruti, who are 60 and 70, old. We went to the Department of Justice and we were going in. They was like, is there anybody named Zaki Baruti? Because he still can't come into the federal building. So he was already done work in the 80s and late 60s, and from the 60s to the 80s. So, but they're not afraid to pass that buck. pass the information on, pass the baton. Like, if people don't know, like, if you come to Ferguson, it's gonna be like 7 out of 10. It's gonna be women on the front line. Like, that's a different dynamic. You know, this is the best part about this. You're right. This is not the civil rights movement.
Right.
This is the oppressed people's movement.
Right.
Just the name of it here is racism. Abroad, it might be just, you know, Zionism, or it might be something else.
Right.
But here it's racism, and it's women running out there, it's men out there. You know, it's some clergies out there. It's not a lot of local clergy, but you got Reverend Sekou, you got Pastor McBride from Oakland coming in, you got the Millennials, you got Brittany and Alexis. Like, Alexis so dope on the ground. She be like, hey, but I mean, that's the point though.
Yeah.
This is a different movement.
Yeah.
The energy's always gonna be there, because you got 20 to 25 young people who not afraid to come together for a protest. We had the pots and pans, we had the white solidarity people come out, we had the pots and pans, the millennials brought the bikes to block the traffic. These are young, cunning people coming together to go against the system, to make sure that we hold the system accountable in real time.
What has the response been? What have you heard from women in Ferguson on the ground? I just want to know what their perspective is about this, because I know so often we focus on the men being shut down, but women are being affected by this as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the first actually event that we held as an organization, as Millennial Activists United, right, not just as 4 or 5 people on the ground, was a women's event. We noticed that at a lot of the forums and a lot of the town halls, the men were the ones speaking, and we knew that on the ground the women were out there, right? So we tried to pull together some of those frontline women, and then we really sat them down and talked to them. And you know, we're in this together. Like, it's all unity. We're just out there because we love Black people and we're tired of seeing us get killed. Right. Women are the bearers of life, so there's something special with that. There's something special when you see a child that you carried get gunned down, and you see a child that someone else carried that you can relate to get gunned down. So we had a lot of mothers come out and just say, you know, I am worried about the children. We need to formulate how we're going to talk to them, how we're going to help them heal. Because there's been a lot of emphasis on, you know, the residents of Canfield, as well there should be. And there's been a lot of emphasis on, you know, how this affects young Black men, because they can see themselves reflected in Michael Brown. Right. But when you get to the under 18 demographic, there's not a lot of focus being put on them. So there's a lot of women really putting that work in off of the front lines. And then on the front lines, we're just like holding it down. Like he said, Alexis is like chant master. Alexis Templeton, she's part of MAL. She's like chant master. When we just got arrested, the Ferguson 13, 9 of us were women, 4 of us were men. Right. Myself, Brittany, and Alexis, part of MAL, just answered a call. We just answered a call. That was the reason we were down there, is because the men sent out a call and said, we need help. There's more, you know, there's twice as many of them as there are of us. Can someone get down here? And the women were the one that answered the call. And, you know, that's why there were 9 of us in jail and 4 men. But we're definitely just holding each other down. Right. It's a unity front.
And that particular protest, it was really disturbing because, I mean, protesters and the demonstrators aren't violent. Police just came out there and arrested y'all. Yeah, they arrested you on a noise ordinance.
Yes.
That they hadn't enforced in
7 weeks. Or 8 weeks now. What are we going into? The whole time.
There's no noise ordinance in the business district, right? And so we got with the ACLU, and they was like, you can't enforce it. It's in the business district. The bar right there is playing music right now. Perfect. Pots and pans. Get little drummer boy, Tef nephew. He's a drummer. You know, we got everybody out there. We got in the street. Now what you gonna do? And we have the legal observers. Even when the Department of Justice was they were at that protest, standing watching them, and they still picked people out of the crowd. Yeah. And the Department of Justice just sat on their hands.
And that was the thing. I was there a couple of days before, and they made a huge deal of the drum. Right. They made a huge deal about it. They said, if you leave the drummer alone, you know, we'll leave you guys alone. Yeah. So they actually scared the drummer. So he went home, and then people actually kind of dissipated because, you know, the tension died down, the kind of energy died down. People were really vibing off the drum. So then we went out there the next day when we got arrested. We didn't have a megaphone. We didn't have a drum. We didn't even have signs. We just had our voices. That's it. And we walked up and we chanted, show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Yep. And they pulled up in their vehicles and said, this is the Ferguson police. You have to shut it down. Move to the sidewalk. We moved to the sidewalk. They pushed us in a corner, and then they started picking away who they wanted. At the time of this taping, Darren Wilson is still a free man. Yeah. Still a free man, but you got locked up the other night. Oh, yeah. What is that experience like? Because
I know when people are on the front lines, I think that's something that's always in the back of your mind. You can either get hurt or you can get arrested. For someone who's been put in handcuffs by Ferguson police, who has been put in an orange jumpsuit in the most degrading of ways, what is it like to be behind bars?
It's infuriating. It was extremely infuriating. I couldn't believe it was happening. I couldn't believe they took 13 of us. You know, there have been times where they picked out certain people and said, you're making too much noise or you're inciting violence. And even in that moment, they're wrong. But it's a little easier to swallow, I guess. But when you take a mass amount of people like that and you say that in this moment, all of you are breaking some noise ordinance that doesn't even exist, it was just incredulous for me. And then it was infuriating. And then as I'm going through the process and at every turn, I'm being told, this is on behalf of Ferguson PD. This is what Ferguson PD wants. I knew that they were trying to make examples of us. They were trying to humiliate us. They were trying to criminalize us to deter us from this movement.
Eric Holder is resigning.
Right.
Yeah.
Or running.
How did we feel?
What did you say? Or
He's running. Like he walked in with the race
issue, right?
dialogue thing. You know.
Well,
what I'm
do you
saying?
guys feel differently about that? Because I noticed about Eric Holder. I think you say he's running.
He running.
He's
Like
resigning.
he came in and said, we want to have this race dialogue, blah, 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 blah. 5.5 years later, it's right here at your doorstep. This is the perfect time for you to cement your legacy as a person who spearhead the race dialogue and how it's going to move forward. And you put your papers in. You try to throw your 2 weeks in to say, oh, when the indictment or the no indictment come, I wasn't the attorney general. You know, this is not a PR move for me, right? I can't go back to my job that I quit and say, oh, I was just playing out there, right? No, this is real life. Like, people are dying. Like, I had to pick up tear gas and burn my hand off just so people can get out of the smoke. People broke into the McDonald's. They was like, oh, no, they were getting milk.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, people were saving lives. And you and Holder and Chief Jackson, they playing PR moves with PR firms and trying to dodge history. That's why when people say, go vote, that's my option to vote.
Right.
I can't vote in. I can't vote out the officers. That's a problem. The officers are coming from places where white people move from the city, move from the county to get away from these black folk. They come back and get the job. Then they sit on the council. Then we find out the mayor of Ferguson don't even live in Ferguson.
He's a part-time mayor.
He owns property there.
His words.
He doesn't live in Ferguson, as he screams that I'm an outside agitator.
Wow.
Darren Wilson doesn't stay in Ferguson. So that's the point. Like, it's not just a Ferguson thing.
Right.
It's a Ferguson is everywhere thing. Like,
Right.
everybody, like, if you go on Twitter, like, people like Ferguson is everywhere. Like, we got McBride, we got a gang of people like Oakland and Dayton, Ohio. Ferguson is everywhere. This is a microcosm, man. That mobilization, that's gonna be key for people coming forward.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole point of the Weekend of Resistance, is really showing that Ferguson is everywhere. So everyone who hasn't had the attention that Ferguson has had, they haven't had the mass media convergence, they haven't had, that response in the streets. This is your opportunity to really come and stand with your black community, right? But also your Ferguson community, and show that you're not going to stand for this. All right, so a lot of you have been wondering what you can do to get involved with the Ferguson movement and show your solidarity. There's an easy way for those of you who can't come to the Weekend of Resistance. Take a picture of yourself, upload it, and hashtag it, I stand with Ferguson.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.
Hands up.
Don't shoot.